cognac Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Jacob Gahamanyi. I am the Office Director of Synergy International Systems for Rwanda. I'm going to be your host for this webinar. My sincere apologies for a bit of delay. This allows us to, welcome more participants in the next 5 minutes, and also the key speakers who are getting their equipment set. So allow us a few minutes. So yes, the webinar has started, but we have to wait. Unfortunately, we have to wait a little longer to get ready. We'll be starting very soon. Thank you.
Ready. Yes.
Once again, thank you for taking your time to attend this webinar. My name is Jacob Gahamanyi. I am the Office Director for Rwanda, Synergy International Systems. And I hope you're all doing well, despite the challenges that everyone is facing due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The title of the webinar is Implementing an Integrated Case Management System, IECMS, for the justice sector. Rwanda is one of the first countries to integrate justice sector-wide data management system. For that reason, Rwanda has won a number of awards. We'll get the opportunity to get to hear about those awards. The impact of adapting this system has been far-reaching, both in terms of the impact on the economy and society. Rwanda has climbed many places on the reputable indices around the world, including the World Bank Doing Business report. The system has won so many awards. We'll get to learn about that. This is the 5th year of implementation. In the spirit of cooperation, we believe this is an opportune moment for Rwanda to share its success story, and for others to learn about how Rwanda went about the process of implementing this solution. We're privileged and honored to have among us the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Justice, Mr. Théophile Mbonera, and also the Coordinator of the Justice Sector, Mr. Anastase Nabahire, who will take us through the presentation. The audience will have the opportunity to ask questions at the end of the presentation. Please, in the meantime, feel free to write your questions on the appropriate section, on the comment section of this webinar. Then we'll have that opportunity for the PS and also the coordinator of the sector to respond to your questions. So it is my honor to welcome the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Justice to give the opening remarks. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Gahamanyi. Dear audience, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon or good morning, depending on the time.
We apologize for any inconvenience. It looks like
yes.
The Permanent Secretary is having difficulty. Microphone.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, just to start, dear audience, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great privilege for me and for the government of Rwanda for this webinar session to present the successful implementation of Rwanda Integrated Electronic Case Management System. Rwanda has been at the forefront of the digital revolution and transformation that is sweeping across Africa and the world. Throughout our journey toward the digitalized justice system, our ambition was from the beginning to implement an advanced technology that would transform Rwanda justice system and sector to achieve the sector digital integration for effective, faster, and affordable service delivery. Rwanda IECMS integrates a number of justice institutions and offices, which include 194 RIB stations. RIB means Rwanda Investigation Bureau, our body which is in charge of criminal investigation, which includes also 59 prosecution offices, 63 courts, 14 prisons, the military justice, and judgment execution and online auctioning. The system also serves 1,300 advocates, 500 professional bailiffs, and 2,500 non-professional bailiffs. However, the system was designed and implemented in the spirit of enabling all justice institutions and officials to work on a single common electronic platform, but at the same time ensuring and preserving the respective institutions' independence and integrity. The controlled and secured data access, processing, and sharing in IECMS is very fundamental, and I cannot miss to mention some of the particular features of the IECMS in this regard. Some of those features are but not limited to, the IECMS has field level permissions that allow administrators to define who can view, edit, and delete data at the field level at any particular stage of the case. At the bottom of each case record, you can see a list of all previous saved versions of the case, including when they were saved, what was modified, and who edited them. One can compare different versions of the case to see what particular information was edited. This provides a complete security package in which all edits are tracked and audited to ensure the proper handling of the case information. Finally, technical data security measures have been implemented to ensure that all IECMS data is stored only on local government servers, where proper physical security firewalls and other measures are put in place to ensure that external actors do not tamper with the data. Dear distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, the IECMS falls under the goal 16 of the Sustainable Development Goals, which is the following: promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. We are committed today than ever to improve the system with more features and functionalities. From the perspective of COVID-19 management, the plan is to implement the virtual courtrooms. Those courtrooms will be, of course, implemented in IECMS to allow judges to conduct court hearings from their respective locations. and that should have to be the case for the parties to be heard by the judges from their respective locations also. Moreover, we expect the financial saving from the transportation and protection of inmates from correction centers. The transportation which is from the courts and back to from the prisons and back to the prisons. But also these financial savings will also be ensured for ordinary citizens. We are expecting that the video conferencing will be integrated with IECMS, and this will ensure all we are expecting as the savings, as I have been mentioning. This will be coupled with the integration of e-signature to effectively achieve an exceptional level of zero trip, zero paper service, and safe working conditions to judges, registrars, and litigants. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, the case management system can successfully be implemented and transform the justice sector of any country. As a testimony to Rwanda case, Rwanda is awarded the top 10 best court technology solutions at the joint conference of the National Association of Court Administrators and the International Association of Court Administrators in July 2017. It was also awarded the International Gold Trophy for Most Innovative Technology for Development, which was awarded by African Association for Public Administration Management, and that was in March 2016 in Lusaka, Zambia. It is, however, worth noting that thinking big, clear vision of a committed leadership are always the key success factors in this matter. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, as I end, but I'm not still leaving because we shall always stay together, please allow me to introduce Mr. Nabahire. He is a senior official in the government of Rwanda, and he's precisely working with the Ministry of Justice here in Rwanda and responsible for the national justice sector coordination. He's going to present to you in more details the IECMS in Rwanda and its benefits. On this note, I thank you so much for your kind attention, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, EPS, for your excellent speech. I would like to take this opportunity to, welcome Anastas. When you're ready, Anastas, please, the floor is yours. Yes, Honorable PS, as we wait for Anastas to be ready, maybe you can respond to one of the questions raised by the participants. He's asking, did you have any issues arising from the separation of powers between the judiciary and the executive? during the implementation of this.
Hello, Jacob. Do you hear me?
Yes, Anastasia, we can hear you now.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to? Okay, let's start with you, and then this question probably will answer at a later stage.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Jacob. I'm exactly trying to share this the document I have to present, and I'm meeting some few come on. Hello.
Yes, Anas, hear you.
Once again, sincere apologies for the technical glitch. Once it's ready, then we should be able to resume the presentation.
Hello, Jacob.
Yes, Anastasia, are you ready?
I'm meeting some few problems in sharing the document, but
Maybe Honorable PS, if possible, you can proceed to respond to the question as Anastasia is getting his computer set.
I think that is a good idea as he's actually sorting out the problems. I think we can keep on having some talks, yes. May I continue? Maybe with the question that was asked about the separation of powers?
Yes, kindly proceed.
Yeah. I think if I remember very well, the question was about any problem encountered during the implementation of the IECMS with regard to the separation of powers. Oh, sorry. Okay, hope everything will be all right. Actually, as I mentioned earlier, actually each institution, the implementation of the IECMS is as that each institution keeps its independence. It means, as maybe we can say, courts have their own independence versus some other institutions, but also we can't forget that also each institution is depending on the document it treats. They have some issue that they have to keep as a secret, and some other issue that can be shared without any concern. I can really say that for each institution, there is a tailored component that it uses, which helps it to actually to handle a case through the system without actually fearing any violation of independence, any violation of secret. But of course, for some issues which are not to be considered as a secret, for some of those, they are shared so that actually necessary information to the public or to the or any ICMS user can be shared without any difficulty. So I think actually as of now, each institution is satisfied with regard to the way the ICMS functions so far. I don't know if I answered very satisfactorily the question, but I can see that Mr. Nawahiri is now ready, but we can keep on discussing after he has presented what he has to present. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear PS. I imagine that question will be addressed as Mr. Nawahiri goes through his presentation. I imagine independence of the judiciary is very important, and I'm sure the one of the issues in the beginning. So, Mr. Nawahiri, if you can hear us, the floor is yours.
Do you hear me now?
With the presentation.
Hello? Do you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Synergy. Thank you, everyone, for participating to this communication. As previously said, I'm Anastasia Nawahiri. I'm the Director General in charge of the Justice Sector Coordination in the Ministry of Justice in Rwanda. And it makes exactly more than 5 years that I started following this system. The building of the system is still launching, and we continue exactly trying to improve the way it works. We continue to look at all ways to upgrade how it is, and then make sure that it serves to providing justice to the people of Rwanda. As per the presentation, I need to introduce you to the system from its background, conduct you through the way the project design principles have been set, inform you about the sector-wide approach or change management strategies that are followed by the justice sector members. I talk of some results that are achieved to date, naturally share our challenges, and say a few words on strategies for future times. I don't know whether I tried reducing noise and did all possible to yeah, I was about talking of the introduction, the background. When you look at the screen, do you hear me? Just
Yes,
to do like
yes,
this.
we can hear you. Anastasia, we can hear you.
Yeah. I was saying that the justice sector in Rwanda is composed of. Do you hear me, Mr. Gahamanyi?
We can hear you clearly.
Do like this to let me know whether everyone is following me.
Yes, we can hear you.
We hear you. We hear you.
Hello? Right. From now, I know that you are exactly following me. So now, I was saying that what we do have in Rwanda as justice, reconciliation, law and order sector is a wider sector composed of today about 17 public institutions, several members of civil society organizations, including national NGOs as well as international ones. We do count members from the private sector. Those are exactly advocates as well as bailiffs. And naturally, we do work with development partners from all grounds of Friends of Rwanda. And mainly, this system has been developed to support the working of our judiciary. But as you know, especially in criminal matters, everything starts with basic institutions that works within local grassroots. And it starts with the national police. The time we were starting developing this integrated electronic case management, everything was starting in the national police. We had a criminal department of investigation from which all happening cases were investigated. And once the file is full, sent to the prosecution, from the prosecution to the judiciary, with the support of naturally witnesses, victims, advocates, to process everything up to the level of judgment, and then follow cases to enforcement orders, judgment execution organs, correctional services, bailiffs organization. But naturally, in this country, we do have what we do qualify as the civil litigation process, cases in which the government of Rwanda deal with cases that some citizens have either introduced to courts against the government, or the ones that the government introduced to courts, and in which citizens misbehaving, individuals misappropriating public funds or assets, for instance, are called to respond to for judgment. And as in some other countries, I was saying that key institutions, at least public institutions for which we had developed this system, were Rwanda Investigation Bureau. This is a new one that is that has been formed last year from the National Police as a specialized investigation office. And from there, we continued with the National Public Prosecution Authority to the judicial, as I was saying, and then mainly these are main users of this system. Apart from the fact that you have to add that the public citizens that use the system, and especially use the system from remote areas with a simple support of small handsets as telephones, at least to receive notifications or calls or information from courts registries. One may ask us where we came from. We came really from far, and I think that this is shared by other countries. When you look at what we have on screen, in 2004, the National Public Prosecution Authority has been restructured to be made a strong institution able to complement what has been provided as information while investigating from Rwanda National Police. As you see, it is sufficient years before we set up a Rwanda Investigation Office. In a few years after, in 2006, we had what is qualified as registre de dossier judiciaire. This was a purely physical instrument in which we do register all judicial dossier. We are still at a level of, we have not yet introduced, let's say like this, like that, we have not yet introduced electronics. But a few years after, once Rwanda Correctional Service was formed in 2010, some tools, some kinds of electronics have been introduced, especially a basic prison management tool. A basic management prison tool, information tool, that were used and introduced in each singular prison. In Rwanda, we do count 13 prisons, plus one, another one that is a military prison. So, in these prisons, we used to have a small tool, management tool, information tool, installed in each prison separately. The 12, or let's say the 13, were not connected. And slowly we started 1 year after by electronic filing system in the judiciary. The judiciary started with helping citizens in filing the cases electronically. But to be frank, at a level that is a starting point. Electronic document and records management system was introduced 1 year after. But people exactly had especially started thinking of what may become an integrated electronic case management to make sure that data from 6 major justice institutions are managed in a way that transmission, protection, and information exchange is done smoothly in a way that help both staffs of all institutions do not take the papers in hands like in ancient times and run with a motorcycle or a vehicle to another institution to deposit or introduce those papers. And it is exactly in 2016 that this system started, has been launched in January, after naturally being developed by with a partner, which is the Synergy. The justice sector strategy, why have we asked to exactly think of an integrated electronic case management? It was due to the simple fact that while developing a national strategic plan, I mean justice sector strategic plan for 5 years from 2013 to 2018, we had identified some key challenges. We were observing backlogs into courts, not only into courts actually. We were observing backlogs in the organs in charge of investigation, prosecution, courts, and naturally the impact was that the management of files or cases had to take much time than it would be wished. So we were observing also delays in case disposal. We had a high rate of prison overcrowding, a high rate of recidivism, increased opportunities for corruption. You do understand that hand management of criminal cases may meet or allow opportunities to subtly remove some papers or add some others that may charge or discharge depending on the will of whoever would manipulate such a dossier. So we are also observing a loss of confidence in the justice system and thought of starting a system that may be reliable, allow citizens to get an easy, a quicker, and a less costly system, justice. So that is the way we asked Synergy to develop for Rwanda a system that may serve these objectives. And from its starting point, we observed some results, at least quickly after its launching in 2016. For instance, what we saw is that judicial services were totally improved because case management techniques enhance record keeping, and it reduced delays and case backlog by automating and standardizing manual procedures. At the same time, we observed cost savings, which improved efficiency. You know, when a citizen has to take a taxi or a motorbike and leave his day-to-day works, run to the court to introduce a file, it has many consequences. A citizen leaving his house, a citizen leaving his job, a citizen taking a taxi, wasting time, and in these, all of those operations may cost, ask for money. With this system, with this easy electronic filing, you don't understand the costs have been reduced. And the decision to support, we features such as the automated allocation of cases, publication of analytical performance reports, and detailed case audit trials enabled court managers to make informed decisions. And actually, this does not help only court managers. It supports also the working of the court's inspection. It helps whoever is able to access to this system, is allowed to access to this system, to look at what is being done. I mean, people at the level of decision making, people at the in need of having a complete picture of what is happening within the judiciary. It is very easy for allowed people to generate information and be informed of what is happening exactly on the ground. And then it helps in inter-agency data integration. You do understand that from now, let's say of today, information is circulating easily between investigators, prosecutors, judges, parties, advocates, and whoever would like to provide for additional information, do it from his or her office in an easy way. Those are serious benefits. On this picture, on this slide, for instance, on screen, this is we are quoting what said this man in a colored shirt, saying, "I can now access the system online wherever I'm using my phone, and no longer need to be in the office to know that a case has been sent to the prosecution." Those are words of a prosecutor in Western region. I mean, in the West Northern region, which would mean that the prosecutor do receive information day and night during weekend hours, and he may inform his superiors of what is happening. He may receive additional information from investigators saying, "Come on, we have met a new witness, and we are able to complement what we had previously as information." The case is being more clear than it was previously, which impacts exactly on the working of everyone. We thought of showing you, basing on statistics, the total number of registered cases, I mean users in cases. I will not take much time to go item by item, but as you see, the total of registered cases, I mean users, is nearby 100,000 people. And these are cases tracked throughout investigation, prosecution, court cases, Rwanda Correctional Service cases, and these institution offices are connected to, let's say that the system is used in 266 investigation offices, 80 prosecution offices, 65 courts are connected, and in Rwanda Correctional Service, 19 offices are connected. I talked of 14 prison services. We do have now 19 because of the fact that Rwanda Correctional Service do not only manage prisons, it also manage correctional service, community service camps in which we do manage people that benefit from alternative sentencing. And current users per day, the number of current users per day is, as you see on the screen, the one of pronounced cases is that one. The number of filed cases is more important than naturally what processed and pronounced. And I think it is this may provide whoever would like to have a proper picture of the way this system help this country in this way. Between 2012 and 17, numbers show that the percentage of people coming to courts for case filing has reduced from 23% to 0%. And the proportion of cases filed electronically increased from 24.3% to 100%. It went slowly. And the average time a case waits to start hearing reduced from 7 to 4 months. The percentage of case adjournment has also reduced from 29, about actually 30% to 11%. Backlog has reduced from 42% of case to 25. 85.8% of respondents to the citizen report card of 2017 trust the court functioning now, because people know that whatever has been filled into a system can't be easily corrupted, as inspections from Rwanda Investigation Bureau, National Public Prosecution Authority, Court Inspectorate, all of them continue having an open ear on what is happening. So one can't risk manipulate whatever under the views of all of these attentive observers and followers. And today, concerning easy access to justice, 100% e-filing rate and 26% filing rate increased. It fasted case processing from 7 months to 3.4. It reduced. This has been captured previously. No need to spend much time on that. Looking at economic impacts, my PS permanent secretary in the Ministry of Justice just evoked some few success stories, but I may add that Rwanda has been ranked second in sub-Saharan Africa for ease of doing business by the World Bank Doing Business report of 2018. It has been ranked first in sub-Saharan African for quality of judicial processes index by the World Bank Doing Business report this year, and it has been ranked first in Africa and 23rd out of 137 globally by the World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Index report. Did it really support doing business? Yes. I will not take much time to compare Rwanda to these country friends. It is not necessary, apart from letting you have a simple quick look at this slide as well as to this following one. When you look at the way enforcing contracts in Rwanda and competitor economies, measurement quality, the following one is the 2016 Continental Public Management Award that the PS talked of, the 2017 Top 10 Courts Technology Solution Award in USA. The previous was awarded by the African Association of Public Administration and Management. And this system helped us also in speeding up whatever is done as analytical, from an analytical point of view. Today, it is very easy to check in an easy way the court performance and delays. This system helps in having a proper picture of the average case time to disposition. It helps in having a proper look and information about the execution of court justice, execution of justice sector institutions. I mean the institutions in the system. And we've talked of about 6 helping end users, but it's important to mention that very soon it will be inevitably important to add some other new services that may be set up. We are thinking of, in terms of alternative to sentences, or at least in terms of criminals management, we think of introducing the probation service. We think of introducing, during our management of sentenced people, what we will qualify as halfway home for prisoners that are about getting out and entering the society. So we'll continue improving the system as like that. We may also look at the court level execution. The dashboards continue showing how on a remote area, whoever judge or register is performing or not. Maybe I will not stop here, but I know that you may be having some few questions before I continue showing some other results.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anastas, for such a wonderful introduction and also presentation of the benefits of the system and the journey that Rwanda went through up to this stage. I'd like to ask you a quick question for the participants. Just so you know, you can ask the questions on the comment side, and then we'll come back to those questions at the appropriate time. But I would like to thank you, Permanent Secretary, for taking the initiative to respond to these questions of the chat section. So for the others, please feel free to ask questions either to direct your questions to the PS or to Mr. Anastas, to the coordinator of the justice sector, and then there will be an opportunity to ask those questions at the end of the webinar. In the interest of time, I'll ask you a very straightforward question, and then you will take over and proceed with your presentation, so we can make sure that we stay within time. We are already far behind, actually. So I'd like to know that this is a unified platform, connecting all the institutions of the sector on one platform. And I would like to know how you got to build consensus, from all these stakeholders, all these number of institutions, more than 7 of them, to put their data on one unified system, because we know that government data is usually siloed, and everyone would like to do their own stuff. For example, the judiciary would like to say, look, we want to maintain the independence of the judiciary and we cannot share this. How did you get, all these institutions? Then it was police, then which later changed to RIB. So RIB/police to work with prosecution to have all their data, together with the judiciary and the RCS on one platform, without having to go through, extensive negotiation on MOUs. The question is to you, Anastas, and if you, PS, if you'd like to chip in, please proceed. So the floor is yours, Anastas.
Thank you. Sorry, I made some few problems in hearing you because of I was exactly trying to unmute. Do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Hello?
Yes, Anastas, we hear
Do you hear me?
Yes, we hear.
It is unfortunate. But
Yes.
Good. I don't understand what is happening. Yeah. I think that this may be. Come on. I don't understand what is happening with me. Hello?
Can we do this? Maybe I can share my screen, and since I have your presentation,
no problem with my screen.
Yes, so I'm going to share my screen.
Sorry?
I'm going to share my screen, and you're going to use my screen. Is that okay? You're going to use my PowerPoint. Is that okay with you?
Let's share this one. Okay.
Is that okay? Can you see my screen?
Are we together? Hello?
Anastas, are you? Yes, Anastas, I can share my screen with you, and then you use my screen. Is that okay? Are you happy to use my screen? Oh,
hello?
Yes, can you hear me now?
I don't hear you now. Hello?
We can hear you, Anastasia.
Can I share my screen? And
can you hear me?
Can I share my screen? Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Are we together now?
Yes, you're good now. Can you proceed? Yes, please proceed with the presentation.
Good. I think that now we can. Okay. Thank you very much. Do consider that. Yes. Do consider that this is also one among challenges that I will talk of. I'm not an IT. Many of my colleagues in investigation, prosecution, courts are not IT users, which will mean that this is one among serious challenges we have met. You know, developing the system started with investigation to make sure that people are slowly trained in accepting the system, in filling all forms intended to providing for information before being sent to a superior level. So developing the system started with investigation, and then prosecution followed. The judiciary followed. But once it was important to launch the system, things have been done in the other way around. Each organ is supposed to work independently, but whatever is prepared is sent to courts. So it is from courts that an order has been given to start receiving any case electronically. So the previously trained, investigators were obliged to continuously send information and cases to prosecutors electronically. The same was asked to prosecutors. And naturally, the country decided to start with some pilots, some pilot zones to verify all challenges, take them into account while deploying here and there in other sides of the country, and then finally having a sector-wide approach. But we benefited also from the simple fact that our agencies do have or are used to work together. As I told you, the sector is composed of both private sector, public institutions, CSOs, development partners who are friends of Rwanda. And we benefit from the cooperation of all institutions, and especially from our partners and from the government. We did all possible to sustain the funding of the system. Naturally, it is not so easy to process an international procurement process. As you saw, this is a system that has been developed by Synergy, far from Kigali, abroad, introducing a new technology, using a language that is not familiar to developers in Yerevan or in America or whatever is in this globe, where Synergy do manage or does have offices. But Synergy benefited from the collaboration of not only IT specialists in our sector institutions, but also from an assistance from some both prosecutors, judges that are law users, that are knowledgeable in terms of procedures, to make sure that all forms, for instance, that are prepared, introduced into the system to help the working of all partners is done in accordance with the provisions of laws. So we conduct in advance of an IT procurement. We had to make sure that terms of reference are well defined, and naturally to check and see whether the budgetary sustainability is considered.
Thank you so much, Anastas, for your response, and also elaboration of the that you've just done. I would like to ask you another question before you proceed to the last part of this. I'd like to know how you. A bit of echoes, maybe dear participants, I would like to ask you to mute your microphones, and you, Anastas, as I ask the question, probably you can mute and then unmute when you're about to respond. Thanks very much. Yeah, I would like to know how you managed, change, because these judges, these prosecutors, people who had been working using, paper-based manual systems, some of them their whole careers, how did you achieve adoption of technology in such a quick time? Who were the most resistant to change, and how did you, manage to, convince them to move from this manual paperwork to a fully digital system? Anastasia, you can unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Hello.
Okay.
Yes, Anastasia.
Would you help me coming back to the question you have asked? I didn't understand it. I was exactly fighting to get microphones.
Yes, I'll repeat. How did you get, some of the members of the judiciary, the prosecutors and judges that are so used to, some of them have worked all their life using paper, manual-based systems. Now you ask them to move to technology. How did you manage that change? And how did you achieve the buy-in of the entire sector?
Thank you. As you know, managing changes is not so easy. For the system design, we worked closely with we benefit from the collaboration of Synergy in defining our specifications, in designing the system that best fits our needs. So identifying needs called upon concerned people. We were exactly into an exercise that was intended to buy people and minds, but continuously continued facing a kind of resistance to change, which I think is natural to all human beings. But we at least tried to do it as that. And with Synergy, we tried to quickly iterate, produce working prototypes, continually elicit or make sure that the final product fully meets our expectations. We thought that, or at least we benefit from a kind of flexibility from Synergy in all times, asking us to clarify whatever we need. And to provide Synergy with information, we had firstly to look back in end user institution. We had to deal with end users, and this has been done while training them. And before training end users, Rwanda sent a small team to Synergy for training, and that was a training of trainers. After which, went back in the country, we have asked each institution, end user institution, to identify people able to quickly catch on electronic mechanisms and tools and working, for them to be trained and support trainers in training their colleagues. So first of all, Synergy trained system administrators, power users, and general users through in-depth training sessions. Synergy helped also in creating the manuals and the video to not only support theoretical training, training sessions, but also provide trained or trainees with some tools that may guide them or that they may keep with them to support their working and be consulted when needed. In addition, it makes more than 5 years that Synergy started developing this system, but we continue benefiting from its support to make sure that we do have uninterrupted support, rapid response, and a cloud hosting. Together with Synergy, for instance, we continue doing all possible to make sure that codes continue working normally without interruption. One may ask what are key factors, key success factors. The first one has been talked of is the agile development. The developer as well as the client continue working together in a smooth collaboration. The flexibility I talked of, what I qualify here as iterative revisions when needed, dynamic configuration, ongoing change management. And it is like in the left hand, like this simple planning session, cycle. I will not take much time, I spend time to look at it, but as you see, once a feature is developed, once it is deployed, end users are allowed to try it and respond back. Provide Synergy with a report that shows where they are meeting problems or not, where the working is smooth and where the working meets some problems. And what is good is that Synergy work on that quickly. These slides actually helps in responding in many questions we have raised. The first deployment. We developed it from the beginning, as I said previously, but once deploying, we started by the end. And the leitmotif was focus forward and adapting to scales. We may say, in other words, we may say that with Synergy as a partner, we have tried to define a system that responds to our needs. But once the system started, it also contributed in showing us what to improve. And I mean that this calls upon flexibility on the side of the client, on the side of the developer, on the side of trainers, on the side of trainees and end users. But this will mean that a kind of proper awareness is continuous on the side of citizens as end users. We continue explaining to them once a new feature is introduced, we do resort to radio, TV, sports, meeting with citizens apart from this time of the COVID pandemic. Otherwise, do meet citizens to explain what is happening, the way they have to receive the new features and benefit from while approaching justice sector institutions.
Thank you so much, Anastas, for your, for your answer and also for your presentation.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yes. Please proceed if you want to contribute something.
May I take the floor?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Allow me to thank Mr. Nabahire for the presentation and for the answers he's providing. And I think he keeps on receiving questions and will always answer. But I just would like to add just a few things about his interventions. About maybe the changes, how actually we managed the changes. I can say that he actually said it all, but maybe what I would wish to clarify is that at a given period of time, we could start maybe by a pilot phase. A pilot phase means we had actually to start deploying the system in a few jurisdictions, not actually to roll it out at the same time all over the country, but on a few, we actually started with a few services or a part of services. We could, for example, roll it out in a small number of courts, which means, of course, those investigators, those prosecutors from a given jurisdiction of the court could use the ICMS, and that could allow us to know the difficulties that those who started with was experiencing, which could of course help us suggest some that could help us actually suggest some modifications in the system. And of course, Synergy was flexible with us. After actually we were satisfied that the system could start all over the country, that is when actually we took a decision to roll out the system all over the country. And so far we think the system actually is serving very much and is helping us to save, for example, in terms of saving paper, in terms of saving transports. People could maybe move from a place to another because courts are not at every door of citizens. But from a given internet cafe, you can actually go and introduce a case before courts without moving up to the court. So it was actually that pilot phase could actually be also considered as a sensitization phase from the experience of the first beneficiaries of the system. I think others were watching what was happening and were actually understanding little by little that the system actually is a helping system more than maybe an embarrassing change. And so far, actually, everyone, maybe we don't have the statistics. I'm not sure that we made research, but we don't have complaints about the system because in our country, even those people who can't access, who don't have enough means to access maybe technology facilities, we have what we call legal aid. A legal aid plan is a plan that aims to actually help those people with a few means, financial means, to be helped to access to justice by providing them, for example, a lawyer who can actually help without any pay. And of course, we have the Bar Association, which helps in that area, but also the Ministry of Justice in Rwanda have a small fund that can be used to help those people with low means. And I think all of that, in addition to what Nabahire said, helped actually to manage the changes and to be able to succeed in rolling out the system all over the country. That's actually what I would like to add in addition to thanking Mr. Nabahire and Anastasia. Thank you.
Thank you, PS.
Thank you so much, dear PS. I think you've answered the question I was about to ask. How did the system help you ensure, access to justice among the rural areas? And I think you responded to that so adequately. Without wasting so much time, my question to you, Mr. Anastasia, and PS, feel free to chip in. What would be your most important recommendation to any other, be it those who are here, or if you met anybody outside, outside of this webinar, anybody that is trying to pursue, an integrated approach to, to data management within the justice sector? What would be your recommendation, the most important recommendation you would like them to take from you?
Thank you. Talking of main recommendations, would ask us, I understand the question as asking us, what have been the lesson learned from this, the development of this system, and what is exactly we are exactly learning now. So the first lesson consists of confronting institutional resistance to change. I talked of this previously. I joked with myself saying, come on, look at what I have faced as difficulties in using IT systems. Human beings normally do not, at least a big number, do not like to be confronted with changes. So it is important, while introducing a new way of working, to make sure that you do all possible to socialize end users with what we do introduce. And naturally, it is asked for some authoritative people to show the love for the system. I will never forget what my colleagues and I were observing, looking at the resistance to accepting and using this electronic system from young people, both investigators, prosecutors, judges of new generations. While we had the emeritus Chief Justice, an old man, who manifested a kind of special love for this system. And his leadership at a certain level changed everything. His determination to introduce this system, let's say his visionary working, conducted him to saying, you judges, start using this system only, and ask people in need of introducing their cases to use electronic way. So it started like this. And we continue naturally having meetings with him. Once whoever a member of Synergy were in Kigali for supporting our teams, we did all possible to make sure that he or she either meet the minister, either meet the Chief Justice, or other key decision makers who may help. We continue asking judges to create an email forum to make sure that they support each other without all times calling upon IT people to explain the way to use this feature or that one. You know, as colleagues, you do support each other easily because of having the same language. So the Chief Justice asked his people to stop accepting physical filing, which will mean that all of them started claiming that, you know, we are not totally and enough trained. Help us in getting this new technology, helping us in mastering this new feature that you have introduced. And all of this contributed to accepting the system, but also slowly building a kind of ownership among end users. As I said previously, training of trainers up to the internet cafes managers supported seriously the system, because in many remote areas, filing a case can't be done by a handset, a phone. Common citizens have sometimes to ask for support from an internet cafe, and these good people have been trained for that purpose. The second element is the promotion of public awareness on weekly radio slots, newspapers, and televisions. We continue doing like this. We listen to people. We send messages, but open our ears and our ears to exactly listen to the citizens, learn from them, improve here and there depending on what they find more easier than another one. We minimize the change requests, balancing requests against utilities, and we continue adapting procedural law. I think that this is common in some other countries, but at least in Rwanda, we are a developing a developing country, and with our history, we are obliged to work hard and try running faster than others. So we are flexible, especially in terms of procedural laws. Summons, for instance, served electronically versus manually, and people continued enjoying seeing how the system made everything flexible and easy to be done. In a country where 30% of citizens had reliable internet connectivity, youth have been facilitators where engagement deployed. Most of internet cafes managers are youth, and I think this is common to other countries. You know, new technologies. I mean, youth get quickly understanding new technologies than elderly people, which would mean targeting youth, collaborating with them in the deploying and engaging others is tactical. So I said, internet cafes, ICT telecenters, smart villages were also mobilized to provide e-service kiosks. Access to justice centers. What is codified in this country as MAJ? MAJ is in French, Maison d'Accès à la Justice. They provide free support. And the YouTube tutorial videos in English and Kinyarwanda continued also to help citizens in knowing what to do, how to ask for questions, and benefit from support from judicial or throughout justice sector institutions, technicians, but also from judges, from prosecutors. Let's say that we agreed to keep ourselves more free and ready to explain to our citizens and support whatever they would like to have as information and free access and easy access to this system, easy access and the use of this system. One may be asking himself or would like to ask us what we have to do next. Next, we have to face some key challenges. This is a country, a developing country, with a high level internet connectivity. Rwanda is seriously determined to make sure that in a few years remote areas are provided with internet connectivity, but we continue facing a high cost of internet and low levels of digital literacy. It would mean that we are aware of this and continue working on that. We collaborate with public and private institutions in charge of making sure that internet connectivity is, penetration is ensured, and we continue educating our citizens. Talking of ongoing and planned improvements, after a few years of use of this system, we saw that it is important to upgrade the system from IDM 7 to 8 because of the simple fact that technology moves too fast. The latest version of IECMS is somehow gives us transformative benefits, and we do think that these will help faster. We also intend to support allocation of cases, a kind of machine learning. The program portfolio monitoring to track progress against targets for organizational key performance indicators. And naturally, we said it at the beginning of this presentation, our intent is to finally provide a service that is paperless. So we intend to integrate e-signature. We intend to make sure that Rwanda Law Reform Commission and Law Library are allowed to easy access to shared information directly through this IECMS. And as I said previously, end users are allowed to be imaginative, and once they observe a new feature that may help in improving the system, they are asked to provide for information or suggest. And once such an information is received, we share it with the developer to work on it more in a way that is more elaborated and produce something that may help all justice sector chain members. I thank you, Mr. Jacob. I thank you all for your kind attention. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you so much, Anastas, for your very good presentation. I'd like to again thank the PS for taking this time to, give the speech as well as respond to the questions. I can see is responding to the questions on the sides. So this is an opportunity for all you dear participants to ask the question. The floor is yours. If you feel your question has, if you ask the question on the comment section and you feel maybe the answer is not adequate enough, this is the opportunity to, raise the question again, especially the parts that you feel has not been fully addressed. So the floor is yours, dear participants. Please go ahead and ask any questions that you may want to ask. As we wait for the participants, we have another question from Noga Himbare. He's saying to everyone, but I believe it's going to be to the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry. He's asking, is there any future plans of going cloud? Maybe that's a question that the Permanent Secretary should respond to. As maybe for the benefit of everyone, the hosting environment for the IECMS is a government national data center, given the sensitivity of the data. But he's asking if there's any plans for this to go on the cloud.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I think there was a question that was asked, which was about whether the system storage facility is on a the cloud. I think I had the answer to it, but actually we have actually the system, the facility is stored on a local cloud, not actually in the Ministry of Justice, but in our national data center. So it means with that way, we think actually so far it's enough. We are satisfied with that. Maybe what we will maybe wish for the future is maybe that we should, as a recommendation or as a wish, we should actually be able maybe to have technicity or enough knowledge to be able actually to make the system ours completely in terms of maybe including important modification that we would wish to have, because actually so far when we want some more components, I can see someone talking about IDM 80.0. That is maybe a more advanced version of the IECMS. So being maybe able to have that possibility to acquire new features of IECMS and acquiring locally maybe at an affordable price, that is maybe a challenge that we have that, but we think with the collaboration with the synergy, we should actually at a given time be able to reach a good deal with them to upgrade our system, because we for sure need to have a system that actually improves as time actually evolves, because you see things from 2020, so we have to evolve with time, which means actually we need to maybe have this facility to actually adapt the ICMS to current needs and cater for all the needs that we have. So this is maybe a challenge, and we need, of course, we think we among the packages that Synergy should promise beneficiaries of the ICMS, there should be at a given period of time this possibility to be actually to be able to adapt the system without actually incurring maybe too much cost, because at the end of the time it can actually it can maybe discourage, but I think we are not yet at that level, and I think and I hope we will not be at that level. Maybe I don't know if I answered to the question very satisfactorily, but Mr. Nabahire can maybe, if he has something to add, can complete me.
Maybe allow me to, I think you've, DPS, you've actually answered two questions in one, including is there any plans to handle the system to the Ministry of Justice? There's another question that is referred to, and I believe Anastas should be able to respond to that. Because you talked about the transformative benefits of the ICMS, and a question from the African Court on Human and People's Rights to everyone, he's asking everyone, he wanted to know what are the new features envisaged in the IDM 8, and why do you want to migrate to IDM 7, from IDM 7 to IDM 8? I believe Anastasia, that question from the Ministry of Justice, you should be able to respond to that. What is it that we want to achieve with this upgrade, the transformative benefits that you want to achieve?
Hello? Do you hear me?
Yes, Anastasia, we can hear you.
Thank you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. Let's say that I'm not good in technologies, but what I understood is that IDM 8 is more flexible and user-friendly than
Anastasia, we lost you. We lost you.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Thank you very much. I don't know what happened. Some IT people has stolen my voice. So I was saying that from what I understood, IDM 8 is more flexible than and technologically advanced compared to IDM 7. It is user-friendly, and as I was saying by ending my presentation, Rwanda intends to get at a paperless level of case management throughout the, not only actually throughout the judicial, the criminal justice system, but also in all public administration and case management. So we would like to continue introducing a signature, make sure that at some next steps we can have all elements that may help the tracking system in having information on individuals, and especially criminals, to be able to track them, and especially track recidivism, being fingerprints, being all elements that may help knowing who touched him there, specifications, and as you do understand, we do have a Rwanda forensic laboratory now, but supporting its job would require to easily recognizing individuals, which would mean that we develop much more. And as I said, as we continue advancing in using technologies, we continue learning new features, but systems like this one continue also teaching us of what to do next steps. And as the technology continue advancing, we keep our ears and minds flexible and open to introduce new suggestions. We continue observing neighboring countries or worldwide countries to make sure that our technology does not lag behind. So this is a determination from the government of Rwanda. This is what we do ask to end users, saying, come on, be creative, suggest whatever you do find that may help in improving this system. And Synergy kept being collaborative by receiving new suggestions, improving whatever idea has been provided by one or another among stakeholders of this sector. Thank you.
So I see, and this is truly appreciated. We have colleagues from the Ministry of Justice, Zachary, and again the PS responding to the questions directly on the comment section. So this is helping us in management of time. This is truly appreciated, Zachary and PS, for doing that. Somebody raised a hand. If you have already asked a question and I realize you asked a question, we're going to have to apologize respectfully because we used almost double the time we wanted to use for this. So we have actually reached at the end of this webinar. I want to thank everybody that participated, the PS of the Ministry of Justice, Anastas for providing a much more technical presentation and very informative presentation as the person that was involved with this from the beginning. That was quite enriching, at least to me personally, and I believe for everybody that participated. Unfortunately, we can't go. I have seen a number of people that are raising hands. Unfortunately, we can't go beyond this time. We already are almost 2 hours into this webinar. So we will provide the opportunity. I'm going to type my email on the chat forum, so you can respond. You can ask any question, and I'll make sure that they are forwarded. They are forwarded to the right people. So we need to type that. So we'll make sure that questions are forwarded to either the Ministry of Justice and or to Synergy. For those who want to understand IDM7, I mean the benefits of migrating from IDM7 to IDM8. So we'll make sure that we respond to all your questions. No question will be left unanswered. But for now, we would really like to say thank you for participating in this webinar. We hope it's been informative. You've got to understand how Rwanda, started this journey and how they've reached at this stage. You got to learn the lessons. You got to hear what you need to be careful about in case you want to do this system that is automating end-to-end an entire justice sector. So once again, I thank you for participation, and may you have a blessed day wherever you are in the world, and may we all go through this difficult, challenging time unscathed without any trouble. So we will meet again. Thank you, and have a good time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.